We ready to start?
Hello.
Do we have
Hello?
Greta?
No,
Where's
what's
Greta?
going on? Why can't you hear? Oh.
Meg, you said Greta's not joining.
Not
And I
joining.
guess Robin won't be joining us because she sent me an email. She's not feeling well. So I'll say good evening and welcome to a special meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
So we're beginning.
I need a motion to open the meeting, correct?
Well, just before, does the zoning board have a vice chair? No. So if that's the case, then the board, I think, needs to vote to make you the chair for the evening, and then you can take it.
Okay.
Do we make a motion to make that vote happen?
Yes. So if somebody would like to nominate Mr. Dunaway as the chair to serve as chair for the evening,
Okay, I'll make the motion.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Dunaway, you have the floor.
Thank you. And good evening and welcome to the special meeting of the Zoning Board for August 13th. We have one item on our agenda.
Hey,
That,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Can I make
that
one
item
point?
That item is 1U 2020 Jean Lum for Lum and Hong Realty Inc., 100 West Boston Post Road. And I understand from Robin that Frank, you have to explain about the site plan for Lum. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, you care to proceed?
Only insofar as because we're now considering this a change of use, it does have to get site plan approval from the planning board.
Okay. Okay. And that's about it?
That's about it.
Okay, because I know we received a short form environmental assessment form that I was going through. Did everyone receive it? Abby? Meg?
Yeah, I just received.
I just received it tonight. Yep.
Okay. And I know that in some way or another, we have to, or whoever is the lead agency for this has to fill in the short environmental assessment form, the part 2, the impact assessment. But Mr. Long, I understand that you are going to discuss the CEQA steps. Is that correct?
Well, if you like, Mr. Chair, we can go through part 2 of the EAF.
Okay, we can do that, but the question is, are we declaring ourselves lead agency?
I would like to hear more about what that entails. So I would like to hear from Mr. Long.
I agree, Meg. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Long.
Well, from my understanding that this application, the board, this is, and Ms. Mason, you can chime in if you will. This is a unlisted coordinated action.
Okay.
Unlisted. Sorry, you're saying is this an unlisted coordinate?
Yeah, unlisted, uncoordinated action. I'm sorry.
So when we took a look at whether it would fit within a type 2, we didn't feel that it ultimately fit any of the categories within the type 2. It's obviously the board's discretion as to how you want to type the action, but our advice would be to type it as an unlisted. It will have to go before planning board for site plan approval, and it will have to go to HCZM for consistency. So
Yes.
because it's unlisted, you have 2 options, one of which is to do a coordinated review, which is normally what the village does. You can also do an uncoordinated review, which would essentially mean that each of the boards would have to go through seeker themselves. I don't know really what the benefit would be of an uncoordinated review. If you are to move forward with a coordinated review, you will need to designate yourselves or allow the planning board to designate themselves as lead agency. And then you will have to circulate that EAF along with a notice of intent to serve as lead agency to any interested and involved agencies. So there's a few things before you, but I would say that when we took a look at it, we felt it ultimately qualified as an unlisted action.
Okay. Meg, how do you feel about that?
I respect Christie's opinion. That is an unlisted action. I would like to pass the lead agency on to the planning board. I would prefer to not be the lead agency. I'm all happy for a coordinated review, but then choosing the planning board as the lead agency.
Okay, I think that, Abby, how do you feel?
That makes sense to me. I agree with Meg.
Okay, so we need to, don't we need to circulate it and have the planning board declare itself lead agency?
That's correct. That's correct, Mr. Chair. So if you'd like to have someone make a motion to circulate the lead agency notice and have someone second, then staff will circulate the lead agency notice on behalf of the board.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I think you could do it yourself, Doug, right? The chair.
Okay, I make the motion that we circulate the EAF and see who wants to declare themselves lead agency.
I'll second.
Meg,
So I'll vote in favor of that motion.
Abby,
In favor.
and I vote yes. So Christie, can you, so we're gonna circulate it out and see who comes back and wants to declare themselves lead agency. And I agree, it should be the planning board.
So
Now I
that,
understand, I'm sorry, Christy.
no, you go ahead, Diane, please.
So I understand that the planning board and the Harbor Coastal Commission would be involved agencies, but are there any other interested agencies that we should be circulating this to?
Absolutely, Department of Health. The staff will make sure that that happens.
Okay, but I don't know if we need to go to any other boards. And-
I would recommend just get evaluated by the Traffic Commission because of their placement on, well, a very highly trafficked street and their plans. I think there could be some potential traffic implications. So,
Yeah,
I'm just-
so we're gonna go to the Board of Health, Planning, Traffic, Coastal Zone. Anyone else? Any other agents
Interested or involved?
interested or involved?
Interested, correct?
Right.
Interested.
Okay.
All right, and do we declare what action it is, Christie, or do we leave it up to the board that decides that it's gonna take lead agency?
I believe it's the board that will serve as lead agency that will declare the type of action type.
Okay, and Mr. Long, you'll make sure that all of this gets circulated out?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and you'll copy us on all the correspondence for it, please?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Was there anything else that we need to discuss with respects to this application?
Are you asking me?
Yes, Christie, anything else?
Not that I'm aware of at this time. It's going, truly, you have to start the seeker process at this point.
Right.
And then at that point, once it's gone through the proper steps for seeker, and hopefully it will be neg decked by the planning board, then it can be circulated back to the ZBA to move forward with their approval or denial of the variance. And it will be the use variance, along
Okay.
with special permits previously discussed.
Anyone have any comments? Anyone out in the audience have any
Oh,
comments?
Mr. Chair, before you ask whether or not there's anyone from the audience that wishes to speak, did you want to hear from the applicant?
We probably should hear from the applicant.
All right.
Um,
The applicant in.
Hi, Michael, I didn't see you, yes.
Hello.
Mr. Long, we
Yes.
have a little technology issue. LMC does not have this streaming on YouTube. They're not getting the feed.
Oh, thank you. I just turned it on. I'm sorry. Thank you for that.
I'm concerned that all the discussion that just happened is not on the video.
Can we repeat our vote then for the purposes of being on LMC TV?
I believe it's being recorded by
It is
Zoom.
being recorded.
As long as it's been recorded by Zoom, I believe it complies. If you would like to restate your votes, you're welcome to. But as long as it's being recorded, I'm pretty sure it complies. But give me one moment and I'll double check just.
Okay,
If there is anybody watching on YouTube, Doug, perhaps you could just summarize what we did. If somebody was interested enough to tune in, maybe they want to hear what.
Okay. What we did was we're going to circulate the short form EIF to a number of agencies and interested parties, Department of Health, Planning,
HCZM.
Traffic Commission, the Traffic Commission, HCZM, and any other interested party. They were looking to see who's going to declare themselves lead agency. We have not declared what type of action that's going to be. It's going to be up to whoever declares themselves lead agency. And basically, we're sitting right about there. And we know we have to go to site plan review to the planning board. And we're also, and Frank, are you going to send that to CZM as well?
Yes.
Okay, so CZM is also going to receive data from Frank. We as the board, Meg, Abigail, and I, we voted to circulate the documentation to all of the appropriate agencies and see who comes and declares themselves lead agency. And they will be charged with completing the Part 2 impact assessment form. Did I miss anything, Christy?
I don't believe so, but the executive order states that the meeting can be held remotely, provided that the public has the ability to view or listen to such proceeding, that such meetings are recorded and later transcribed. So I'm glad that you repeated what happened. You might want to take the vote one more time.
Yes, and I'd like to report that we also suggested that the planning board be the lead agency, that we were not interested in the lead agency.
Thanks, Meg.
So do you mind redoing the vote, Doug, just to?
Okay, may I have a motion?
I thought you did the motion last
We
time.
did the
Oh,
motion.
yeah, I make the motion. Do I have to repeat everything I just said?
No, because I think you were streaming that at that point. With
Okay.
I just would like you to redo the vote just to make sure.
Right. I make the motion on this application that we distribute it out and determine who's going to be lead agency. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Meg,
I approve that motion.
Abigail,
Yep, I approve.
and I approve it as well. So I don't close this, do I?
No, you leave it open.
Okay, so do I need a motion to leave this open until we get a response?
I don't, but Ann, what do we normally do? I can't remember if there's a public hearing that we keep open.
So we generally would leave the public hearing open and we would wait for the 30 days for the circulation to end and then reconvene on the determination of who is lead agent.
But do
All
we?
right, but-
Oh, we usually adjourn. Didn't we just adjourn?
That's what, right? We don't normally do a motion for that, right? I think we
No,
just,
we did not.
okay.
The chair announces that we're
All
adjourning.
right, so it's going to be probably longer than 30 days because when's our September meeting?
10th.
The 10th. So it's going to be less than 30 days because we're at the 13th of August right now. So
Well,
can we do it in less than 30 days or do we have to wait the full 30 days?
30 days will be once, for instance, the planning board, if they decide to serve as lead agency, then the notice of intent about lead agency goes out. That's the 30 days. That's when
Okay,
and so you're not abiding by a 30-day mark at this point.
right.
That would be-
So do I have a motion? Okay,
Go ahead.
Finish, go ahead.
I was just going to say that if they're able to, it will likely be October, November is my guess before they're able
Right.
to come to the ZBA.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, before you do that, did you want to hear from the applicant?
You should allow
Yes.
the public
I'm
to-
sorry, we should hear from you. You got him on? Okay,
Yeah. Give me 1 second, 1 second. Cliff, unmute yourself.
oh, Cliff is on?
Yeah, Cliff is on. Cliff, unmute yourself.
Back up.
Sorry, I didn't have the headset on. What'd you say?
Oh, just checking. So, you're able to get the YouTube up and running?
No, it's not running yet.
Okay.
I have LMC calling me. Can you make me the host real quick? I'll start it.
I did. You were the host.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are going to repeat our vote again?
We have to do this all over, Cliff?
Give me
No,
a
you
second.
won't.
Now we're
We
on.
have a Zoom recording of it.
Technically, it's not available to the public right now.
Well, the Zoom live stream is available to the public, but
Oh, okay, then we're fine. Good. I didn't realize that. Okay, good.
we have a Zoom recording of it.
Technically, it's not available.
Okay, everything is live on YouTube now. Well, the Zoom live stream is.
Okay, so is the applicant available to talk?
Yes,
Yeah,
he's
Cliff,
present.
Cliff, if you can bring in Ted Diamore, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I don't see myself, but that's okay. Um, This is Ted Demore. I'm the architect for the applicant. And there's a big change. It seems that about 2 months ago, you folks had considered the traffic. You had considered everything involved with the operation that was proposed. And it almost seemed that there was like a straw poll vote to approve the application. And last month was just going to be about adding some conditions to it. But then it came about that perhaps the notice was wrong because we had applied for 2 special permits, and now we were about to be approved for a use variance with conditions, and this special meeting was set up. And now, while you folks had made a lot of considerations, now you're asking for the opinions of other boards, including traffic, when you had considered all those items yourselves. And now it seems like you're not so sure yourselves with the opinions that you had, and are reaching out to others. And it's a little bit perplexing when we were hoping to get an approval. The coastal management zone, I imagine that it's in your rules that you have to contact them. We are across the street from the park. And we promise we're not going to ship anything out. Everything's going to be vehicular. So we won't be sending anything out by boat. We would like there to be, we are not sure why the zoning board doesn't want to be the lead agency when it seems a use variance is the highest change of use that can be allowed by any board. It's higher than what the planning board can give. It's higher than what the traffic board can educate. That why you folks wouldn't want to be the lead agency to take over that spot, go through the CEQA steps tonight, give us our use variance, and let the planning board go through site plan review, which is a different aspect. There's plantings in front of the parking lot. If we need to put in a trash corral, we'll do that. That seems minor compared to the use variance that you folks are considering. We want to have our, we would like to be considered for a vote tonight. We've worked towards it. We've gone more than the 62 days, and we're not sure why we can't go forward and let the site plan folks deal with that application in the coastal management zone. If we have a use variance and we don't get the site plan approval, well, then we don't get the site plan approval and we don't go forward. We don't get coastal management approval, we don't go forward. Why we have to go to traffic, that doesn't seem to be something that's related to what you folks have already considered. Why anybody would consider sending a job that's being considered for a zoning variance to the Board of Health when that's strictly a building department issue that concerns sanitary means inside the building and nothing else outside the building and the use of the building, it's ridiculous to send this job to the Board of Health. We think we're getting obstacles thrown in front of ourselves that are unnecessary. And that's what I have to say tonight to this board.
Board have any comments? All right, thank you, Mr. Demore. Board have any comments to,
I mean, I do think what he's saying is pretty fair in terms of where we were headed. You know, my understanding is that you know, we've been informed by others since then that the direction we were pursuing, you know, needed to be changed. But I would certainly invite Christy or Mr. Long to step in and explain why there has been a change in direction on our end.
before we do that, I have a question, okay? And Mr. Diamore raised the appropriate question. Why are we bringing the Board of Health into this? They would have to go to the Board of Health anyway to have their operation inspected.
I mean, the only thing about it is that from a secret perspective, and only from a secret perspective, you're not asking the Board of Health for their, I guess, for comments as it relates directly to, or recommendation as it relates to this application. What you're doing is essentially sending out your intent to be the lead agency to the Department of Health, and they're an involved party because of the fact that they have to issue a permit for the application.
Well, they would have to go to the Board of Health to request a permit. And we can predicate any resolution we come up with if we approve this application, that they must provide us with a copy of the Board of Health application and acceptance. Christy, I have a question for you. I mean, Mr. Diamore had some very valid points, okay? And we did go through a lot of the process on it. And I probably agree that the biggest aspect of this is the use variance. The question I have is, we still would have to get site plan approval. Am I right or wrong?
If you were to serve as lead agency, you sort of have a head start. It's still going to have to go to HCCM. It's still going to have to go to planning, but at least you've started with the notice of intent to serve as lead agency. So you've started a 30-day time frame. So yeah, that is the benefit to the applicant in the sense that, again, you can head start on that timeline.
I know that having served on the zoning board previously, we have always circulated to the various boards, commissions, and interested parties who wanted to declare lead agency. Mm-hmm. And on occasion, we have declared ourselves lead agency on applications. So I think that, and Meg, I understand, you know, I know you want to object to the lead agency status by this board. What do you think? Since we pushed it so far to the point where we were almost, you know, we were ready, and we did give preliminary indications.
As far as I even if we declared ourselves lead agency, it would be 30 days from now. So we would not be able to act on this in September. We still wouldn't be able to act on this until October.
No, you're correct. Yes.
So I also believe that the planning board has more experience with seeker. Just got the EAF, so I would appreciate it if the planning board was the lead agency. I think I understand. I can only try to understand the frustration of the applicant, realize that we've been slow to understand what standards we need to pass in order to be able to complete this application. And I hope that the applicant understands that we haven't received anything so far that would make us change from our straw poll. We are supposed to wait for everything to go, but that's not the reason, but it's because it did not become apparent that you needed the site plan and the seeker review.
As a point, The EAF was distributed to the board with the initial application. So
Oh.
me just sending it tonight was so you had it readily available and you didn't have to go through the application to locate it.
Thank you
Right.
very much, Lydia. And that was, you're always on top of things. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. But I still feel, I have empathy that this is being dragged out, but I still feel strongly that the planning board should be lead agency.
Okay. Abby? What do you think?
I mean, I guess question for Christy or Mr. Long, I mean, because I do have a lot of empathy for this situation as well. What would be fastest, just so that we all understand?
Well, it would depend on how long it took, obviously, planning and HCZM to review the application. I would have to map out the time frame, but if you were to declare lead agency now, that's 30 days. Betty Ann, do you know when planning board meets for the first time?
The 9th of September. And HCZM is the 16th of September.
So that time for that 30 days would not be up. It would still be going. Would they do I've only seen planning service lead agency, but would planning do a preliminary assessment of the application? And that may be, I don't know, Betty Ann, if you're the better person, or Mr. Long, if you're aware at this point.
Sure.
I can't, honestly, I can't.
Well, what I would suggest, I mean, if the applicant is going to the planning board, the applicant would apply to the planning board at the same time that the applicant is submitting the secret documents. Because the applicant would have to provide copies, so the staff can provide the copies of the secret documents to the planning board and to HCCM. If the applicant applies to the planning board at the same time that they submit the secret documents, then planning staff will work to get the information to the board and position the board to be able to respond, or work with the board to be able to respond.
What do you mean? I'm a little bit confused, but what do you mean by submission?
So right now, what happens is when the lead agency, the intent to be lead agency is transmitted to the interested parties and involved parties, the application is submitted, a copy of your notice of intent, and a copy of the EAF, and all supplemental documents or associated documents that the applicant has submitted associated with the EAF. But the planning board, the HCZM, they do not have a formal application in front of them. You asked whether or not the applicant, whether or not those boards would entertain a preliminary application. What I'm suggesting is that there's probably no need for them to entertain a preliminary application if the applicant submits a formal application to the board at the time when they submit the secret documents. That's okay.
So then they would be able to begin looking at the application, it sounds like, unless I'm not.
Absolutely.
They would begin looking at the application on, was it September 9th, you said? I'm sorry, September 9th, HCCM would be the 16th. They can't act on it until seeker is completed. So seeker would be completed possibly at the beginning of October, and ZBA is the first meeting in October, correct? And so at that point, if the ZBA was comfortable, they could neg deck it and at that point approve the variance. And then it would go to planning and HCZM for their approvals. So it would move more quickly, because otherwise I think you're looking at planning possibly declaring lead agency on September 9th, which pushes you back an additional 30 days or so. But this is again taking into consideration that planning would move quickly, HCZM would move quickly, that there wouldn't be any issues with the application. So
also the planning board does have to see it to do site plan review. So I guess they're on their docket for the first meeting of planning in September. And would they be able to approve the site plan? If we were the lead agency, we need 30 days.
mm-hmm.
Would the planning board be able to consider the site plan in September if we haven't decided on seeker until October?
No. So what I'm saying is I think they could only do a preliminary review of the application. So they can't make any decision on the application, but they can at least begin to look at it and let the applicant know
what is going to end up being the second meeting of the a planning board meeting in October, regardless of whether it's the planning board is the lead agency or not. with the 30 days from that it would have to be October no matter what. So
That's-
whether it's a few days or not difference, we could try to calculate the calendar, but basically October is the earliest date.
Well, if you declare lead agency now, because otherwise ZB, it's going to have to go back to, so let's say planning declares, that's 30 days from September 9th. I don't know when your first meeting is in October.
The
For
first.
ZBA.
Oh, well, I mean, if I may. So if I may, I think I can add a little clarity here. So if your board is declaring your intent to be lead agency today, 30 days from now, if the planning board says, and this is my understanding of it, if the planning board or some other board says that they want to be lead agency, as long as there's no disagreement, after the 30 days expires, they become the lead agency. So that's 30 days from the date in which the intent to be lead agency goes out, which is more than likely will be tomorrow.
So
Okay.
But we're meeting in September before 30 days are up. So
That's fine. Even with that being the case, you still have to wait the 30 days.
So we'd still have to wait till October.
Absolutely.
So it's still, we're talking about,
I have a question, Christie. Christie, if we declare ourselves lead agency and we neg deck this, then it just needs to go to planning board, okay? And we can put it pending site plan approval if we neg deck this, correct?
You can't neg deck it till that 30 days is up.
All right, but we can neg deck it in 30 days.
You could, but that would be your first meeting in October. Because you are going to meet,
in a couple of weeks, we meet in September, or 3 weeks or something.
so you meet on September 10th, I believe. Well, today's the 13th. So your 30 days is up a few days after your meeting in September. So you're looking at October as your first meeting where you can neg deck it and approve the variance at the same time.
Even if this is an uncoordinated review, if they
Right.
talk it out? or you can't?
Uncoordinated is a different beast. Uncoordinated would be, you could do you could review it today, neg deck it today. I believe you could approve the variance today, but you don't have that resolution in front of you. So just be mindful of that. Then it would have to go to planning and they would have to do their own review of it. And then it would have to go to HCCM and they would have to do their own review of it.
Could we explain to the applicant that the reason why there's a delay is because it's now an unlisted action? And that because it's a use variance, it's an unlisted action. So we can't move on it because it's not a type 2, which doesn't require further review. Because it seems the applicant is asking why we can't take a vote tonight. But the problem is because it's a use variance, you're changing the use, the level of review required for seeker changes. And that's why we don't have the choice about voting on the use variance this evening.
Now, don't get me wrong. We tried to see if it would be a type 2, but we ultimately could, I mean, at least I'm not comfortable making the recommendation that it's a type 2, but you're correct. If it would, go ahead.
I just want to make sure everyone sees our chat, right? That the applicant is, it
Mr.
has
Abdallah.
to say, and then as does Mr. Abdallah.
Well, I mean, just so you know, Mr. Diamore, he is still on. He can still speak.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I know he's writing chat. He can speak.
I didn't want to interrupt.
Mr. Diamore, we can't do anything in September. So if you're not worried, you shouldn't be so concerned about that deadline because we need to wait until October. Even if we were going to be the lead agency or someone else is going to be the lead agency, we can't move on this until October.
Unless we move our September meeting past the 30-day mark.
Christie just said you could possibly vote tonight on the variance and let the chips, let the other chips fall where they may in schedule. But the
That would-
variance could be granted tonight. Christie
That would
outlined the steps that could be taken.
That would only be if the board agreed to do an uncoordinated review. And on top of that, the board would have to agree to approve it without having the resolution in front of them.
Could be a
So-
conditional approval then?
What do you mean? Can you do a conditional approval?
I thought we took a straw poll vote the last time on our position where we stood.
You did, but you don't have the resolution directly in front of you. You're welcome. I mean, you would be
I
free.
mean, but I think he's saying, how would the board view it? I think we already took a poll at our last meeting. The question is, Christie, how can we expedite the process?
But we also have to approve the resolution. It's not just
Right.
reaffirming our straw poll. It's whether or not we're all ready to review.
Right.
All
And
right, so if I may, you have two options here as it relates to secret, and you're asking whether or not you can expedite it. So this is what it is. You can, the action is, in staff's opinion, an unlisted action. So therefore, the board has two options now. You can either classify it as an uncoordinated review or a coordinated review. If you classify it as an uncoordinated review, then what that means is your board is assuming the lead agency for as it relates to the application that's in front of you. And then your board could issue either a positive declaration or a negative declaration. And after you issue the positive declaration, after you issue, or if you decide to issue a negative declaration, you'd be in a position to vote tonight. Or you can send out, if it's a coordinated review, you send out your intent to be lead agency, and then you have to wait a minimum of 30 days before either your board becomes a lead agency or some other board becomes a lead agency.
So it
And that's
sounds,
gonna,
So
that's
those are your options.
days. We're in October if that happens.
so it sounds like the uncoordinated is the fastest option potentially, but we don't have the resolution in front of us. Yes, uncoordinated.
Yes.
Right.
So you
But we could have the resolution by our September meeting. Is that correct, Christie?
Well, yes, and at that point, this is my official last meeting. I know we said that last time, but Michael will be responsible at that point. And Michael, I assume you will be providing them with the resolution.
Well, I know this is, I know the board doesn't typically do this, and then, you know, again, I'm just throwing this out there. Again, I'm just talking from my experience because the board seems that that the board would like to move forward with this. I have seen in my experience where the board has, or boards have made, approved or made determinations on applications without having the resolution in front of the board. So again, that is an option for you as well.
I'm not going to vote for that. And there's three of us and we would have to be.
Fair enough.
I don't think any of us would vote for that
Okay.
without the resolution in our hand. But we would have a resolution. Michael, will we have a depending upon what we do this evening, let's say we declare ourselves lead agency, we neg deck it. We vote, we give you our preliminary vote. Can we have a resolution by September? And obviously, one of the items in there would be predicated on site plan review.
Yeah, I think we could have one by September, Christie.
Yeah, like I said, I won't be here, but I have a resolution that's majority drafted that I will obviously forward to you, and then you can handle at that point.
What happens for 30 days? Why are we able to vote on it tonight if we play?
There is no declaration for lead agency with uncoordinated review. It's just that every single party does their own review. So it would be that
30 days is a part of trying to figure out who is going to be.
That's with lead agency. And so you can do uncoordinated review usually uncoordinated review is something that's okay if you don't anticipate that there's going to be a positive declaration. If you think there's going to be a positive declaration, then it doesn't really make sense to do uncoordinated review. But if you're looking at it, and I will say this is an application that seems relatively straightforward, but that's not my decision. You can neg deck it as a board, then it will go to planning. They will have to go through the EAF themselves, and then they will have to decide to neg deck it. And then it will go to HCZM, and then HCZM will do the same thing, go through the EAF and neg deck it. So you're saving time on your end. If anything changes down the line, just keep that in mind. Let's say planning board says, actually, we want to do a coordinated review. And that would be, again, most likely if they decided it was going to be a pos deck. Then you're going through the 30-day process again at that point. But I don't really anticipate that with this application.
Can I just mention again that we do have a Mr. Abdallah who would like to speak?
He's the possible tenant for the space.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, would you like me to bring him in?
Yes, please.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. This is Mr. Abdullah, the tenant for Operation Falafel at the location we're discussing tonight. As far as I know, August 13th was the day you're going to vote on our application. And it seems it's been dragging on and on and on. No one got it to our attention that we need review from this board and that board and that board. It's dragging on for so long that it might even go into the next year now, okay? Can we vote on it and get it over with so I know where I'm going? It's dragging on for no reason. If we need to see all these agency, why nobody got it to our attention from the beginning so we could get it over with? Now we're wasting money. I'm wasting time. Don't know where I'm going. I'm holding my plans. I have other places that I have to be rent for because of this location, and this location is going nowhere because no one could make up their mind what do we have to do. Can I have a final answer tonight? Yes or no? So as simple as that. Yes or no? I'm not asking for anything else. I just can't keep wasting money on something I don't know what my future is going to be like. It's literally cost me $30,000 a month every time you postpone it. So I need to have a final answer. Thank you.
So it's
Good.
the
Go
fastest.
ahead, Meg.
The
Go
only
ahead.
thing we can do to help is do the uncoordinated review. We decided it's a neg deck, but we're still, I believe, have a consensus that we want to wait till September to review the actual resolution vote then. Really wouldn't be holding up, I think, that because you would not be able to open or get a building permit until you have gone through site plan review. Because there wouldn't be any, it would be as fast as possible to get you to the.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But
Waiting till September, the review of your resolution is not going to slow you up anymore. We haven't found any new elements to this. There's no reason to think that we're not going to.
no. Okay. Back when we first started this first meeting, we said next meeting, and next meeting is going to keep drag on. Okay, yeah, it's costing me money to keep dragging on. What's going to guarantee me September is going to be over with? There's nothing you could guarantee me, that's for sure, based on the record, based on what I see since we started the whole thing. Okay, so I'm just asking for a final answer. Vote on it, yes or no, and get it over with. I just can't keep wasting money. I already wasted $120,000 on this location, and I still don't know where I'm going. These things you should have known. You should have known that these things, guys, from day one, that we need to review it here, review it there. This is not what I do for a living. This is what you do, guys, for a living. So it's your job to know these things, not my job.
Those of us volunteering on the board, we don't do this for a living. It would be the building.
Okay, so you know what? You're making my heart difficult. You're making our life difficult. You're doing it as a volunteer, but we are paying the price for it, and that's not fair. That's very unfair that we have to pay for it. I mean, I really, I'm honestly, I'm going to speak with the mayor about this and see why this is happening. This is unfair. I heard another meetings, guys, you hold it for different people in the same situation. It's like, I don't know why you can't just give final answer. I can't, I have no clue why. Why do I have to wait this long? And every time it's next month. Oh, we're not doing meeting this month, next month. It's going to be the following month. And today we're holding a special meeting just for that reason. And we're still nowhere. I hear a new story every time. No, I want that story to end tonight. As simple as that.
Unfortunately, while this board has already made its position clear, we need the resolution in front of us to vote on it.
But why that wasn't done back in when we started the whole thing 5-6 months ago? Why all of a sudden it has to come up?
We were sent a resolution.
Okay.
Or Betty Ann sent us a resolution. We
Right.
have a resolution. That was-
I mean, it's, you know, how many resolution we have to send? How many? I have no clue. I'm done. I'm totally done. I need an answer by tonight, please. And that's it. I can't. I really can't. I'm holding a lot of operations, a lot of businesses involved in this location. And, you know, I have to, you know, if I can't get it here, I got to go somewhere else. As simple as that.
Abby and
You know,
Diane, we reviewed the resolution.
I didn't hear you, Meg. I'm sorry.
Did you review the resolution that was sent some time ago?
There's a new resolution because it's been edited for use variance, and I understand what the saying, if I may. But let's say that you decide to do the uncoordinated review and neg deck it tonight, then you do the resolution in September. He still has to go before the planning board and HCZM. So really, you not reviewing the resolution tonight won't hold him up in that sense, because you can do it in September and then he's done with the ZBA if you do an coordinated review, but he still has to go to planning and still has to go to HCZM.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. We still have to go. This should be discussed when we first started, that we have to see this, you know, board and that board. That was never discussed. So we wasted all this time for no reason. If you knew we have to do that, why wasn't that? Why wasn't getting to our attention? Okay, so now even if you vote on it tonight and you say, yeah, I still doesn't get me nowhere, because I still don't know what's the final answer gonna be. I have to wait another 2-3 months before I get the final answer.
Well,
And that's another $96,000, exactly $96,000 out of pocket for me, and not knowing what I'm doing. I have to talk to my investors. I have to approach them and let them know what's going on. You know, the landlord himself losing money every month. It just not making sense. It's just really not making sense to me.
Look, I have a resolution from July 15th. Is that the right one?
No, because that would be for an area variance. They came back for
Area variance, right?
yes, so they're back for the use variance. I can tell you the majority of that resolution is drafted, and I'm happy to forward that resolution as is to you right now if you'd like. But what I'm trying,
He's going to have to go to the planning board anyway, so
exactly,
that's out of our control.
exactly.
We have no authority. It's about that.
Right.
The only thing we could do is make it an
We could at least get this off of our, plate for him.
With it being designated.
Oh yeah, you're in need zoning board. You could go just the planning board and could approve it. Since once we saw Frank, he says no. He looked at it. Frank and the other gentleman, I forgot his name. He said no. You need zoning board. Okay, we went to the zoning board, and now the zoning board telling us go back to the planning board. Could somebody make up their mind?
With this being a use variance, it has to go to zoning, and it has to have site plan approval. It has to go to CZM. The fact of the matter is, if we declare this uncoordinated, neg deck it, we can have the resolution on September 4th predicated on site plan approval and predicated on CZM approval.
Yep, that's
And that would give you time to get the site plan in so that the board can get it on their, that planning board can get it on their plate to review the site plan, and HCZM can get it out there to review it and give us feedback, because our resolution would be predicated on their approvals.
No, this is unreal. This is unreal.
And we can vote on it, and with the resolution in front of us in September, we can vote on it.
Christie, if we were
Am I
going to,
correct, Christie?
what.
In what I said, am I correct?
Yeah. Well, but it also depends what happens at planning board. It also depends what happens at HCZM. I don't know what, I don't review their applications for them. They review their applications, and they'll be the ones that will say whether they need any additional information. So, I mean, I can only provide the background that I know on this application, which is I feel like initially it was presented as there wasn't a change in use. As time went on with the application, It came to the attention of the building inspector and also the village planner that there is a change of use. It's not a restaurant, it's a takeout portion, and it's a small manufacturing facility. So
Right.
it was presented initially as an existing use. As time went on before the ZBA, that information became apparent that it's not. It's a change of use. So that's all I can say. And in terms of them having to go before HPM, that's because it's an unlisted action due to the use variance. And in terms of site plan approval, that's because there's a change in use. So that, I don't know what planning will ask for. I don't know what HPM will ask for. I find it to be a relatively straightforward application. It's not my job.
I can't hear you, Christie.
Maybe, Mr. Abdallah, when you're not speaking, if you could mute, it's a little difficult. If you don't
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you. There's a little, thank you.
Okay, so
I'd like to speak again.
depending upon planning, depending upon the response from HCZM will dictate the timing of when we can, although we can vote on the resolution.
Yes. Yes. If you're
And
doing an uncoordinated review.
Our original application we submit, we did not change of it. We were specific to what we're doing. Takeout and manufacturing food. Was nothing deceiving about it. Nothing deceiving about our application from day one.
I was not implying it was deceptive. All I am saying.
No, I apologize. I didn't mean it was deceptive. I didn't mean, to insult you. That says no. But I'm saying, was it clear what we doing in the location? So what I'm saying is, if it wasn't clear why all these issues didn't come up then, that we need to see this person, that board, and that, So even you're talking about September, what is going to guarantee me is going to be over in September? They might ask for more things. So might go to October, November, December, wait into 2021. It's nothing guarantee me after you said you're going to vote on it, guys, final vote, the 23rd. If I was at the meeting, I would have not granted you guys the okay to do so. My architect did it without getting back to me on the spot. I was in on the meeting. So if I knew, I would have said no. So now all of a sudden, I have no clue when can I see the end of it. So if it's going to be guaranteed, it's going to be done in September. It'll be, oh, great. Okay, you know what? Another month I could deal with it. But I can't wait another 2 months, 3 months, I can't. I honestly can't. It's just very unfair. Very unfair.
Mr. Long.
September.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Oh, wait, before I ask you, Frank, do we have everything we need? Do they have an application in to go to the planning board? Betty Ann?
No, they do not. They were
Okay.
not aware of it.
I have something I like to speak to the board about. First time we came for a meeting with the building department, it was myself, the owner, Gene Lum, and Abe Abdallah. And I said, I think this is a use variance. And Frank said to us, don't go for a use variance. The zoning board likes to decide whether it's a use variance or it's not a use variance. And I verified that I didn't hear this wrong. Gene Lum backed me up on hearing that exactly, said that way when we first made this application. So if you let, maybe have some words with Mr. Frank, that let the architect, if he thinks it's a use, or the attorney, if they think it's going to be a use variance, make the presentation that they want, and we don't have to notify twice. We don't have to go through all this again, because we read the books that you've got everything laid out in black and white. We can see the steps. When you change the type of the application midway through, because we were instructed to file a certain way, and change it halfway through, it makes it impossible. And my client has lost tens of thousands of dollars waiting for this job to go forward. And now we find it can't go forward. I've probably missed the deadline for filing to be on the planning board agenda for September. So that pushes us to October before they even look at it. And then we might get a decision in November. And Abe's right talking about these things. This is a comedy of errors here.
Betty Ann, what's the deadline for submitting to the planning board?
August 28th.
Oh, for the September meeting?
Correct, September 9th.
So you have exactly 15 days to get it there. We are trying, this particular board is trying to move this forward. But we have to follow procedures and protocols. With it
Doug, I
being,
understand and I appreciate what you're
Mr.
saying. Thank you.
I'm
Yes.
speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And as I said, we're trying to move this application forward as quickly as we possibly can. On a use variance, you have to go to the planning board. There's no doubt. You got 15 days to get it there for them to review it at their September meeting. We, on the other hand, already know, and Christie has, what, 2/3 of the resolution prepared for the use variance?
Sorry, I was muted, but if I remember correctly, it's at least that. I think it's about 90% done.
90%. So the only thing, you know, and I know that items that would be needed to add in there pending planning board approval and pending HCZM, correct?
Well, Doug,
Right.
let's go there. We might have conditions and things, but it's nothing substantial.
Right, right. So if you get in and they review it in September, what's their meeting date?
9th.
The 9th.
We meet the 10th. Well, ZBA meets the 10th.
So we meet the day after they do. So at our September meeting, if we have planning board, if we have site plan approval from the planning board, I'm sure we can expedite HCZM's evaluation. Can we do that? To get
Well,
there?
No,
It's not how it works in the sense of it goes to planning, then it goes to Harbor Coastal. And then once it's done with consistency from the Harbor Coastal Commission, then it returns to planning, but that would be after the planning board has made a secret determination.
so if you do uncoordinated review, just a reminder, every board will have to do their own seeker analysis. So that's just a
But
reminder.
if we do a coordinated review, it's going to take longer.
When is the second planning board meeting in September? Is it after the HCBM?
Yes, it is. It's the 23rd.
Is it possible that if they did not find any issues with seeker and they neg-decked it, that he would be done by the 23rd? With site plan approval, if we can't say what the planning board is going to find, but they were going to approve his site plan and not find any, find it as neg-decked it. It's possible. That would be the earliest. It could be September 23rd.
It could be as early as September, I believe so, unless someone feels.
Okay.
How do we change, if we are going to change, if we already voted to not be lead agency, what process do we go through to change?
If I may, just for clarity, the board really didn't vote not to be lead agency.
Okay.
Just kind of made a major recommendation.
Okay, but we voted, but we didn't vote to make it uncoordinated and allow ourselves to be lead agency tonight.
Just do a new vote and just clarify in the motion.
Okay. So Doug made the motion. Do you want to clarify your motion to make it a uncoordinated review and that we are going to find this as a neg deck this seeker review?
Right. Are we going to declare lead agency or no?
No, you're not going to declare lead agency. What you're going to do is you should say that you are going to proceed with uncoordinated review. You should review that short form EAF just so that you're comfortable with it and signing off on it. And then I believe they need to have a part 2 actually, William, correct?
Yeah, so yes, Ms. Mason is correct. What would happen is you would basically just declare that it's an unlisted, uncoordinated action. That would be the first motion if you wish to make that. At which point staff will walk you through right now part 2 of the EAF. And then after you've gone through part 2 of the EAF, if you're comfortable, you can at that point issue a negative declaration, or if you feel that more environmental investigation is required, you can issue a positive declaration.
Okay, I'm ready to go if Mr. Long can walk us through the part 2 of the EAF. Is that okay with other board members?
You should make
Okay.
a motion about the
Now-
unlisted,
The
uncoordinated,
first thing we have to do, make it an undeclared,
unlisted and uncoordinated,
unlisted and undeclared action.
uncoordinated.
Uncoordinated, I'm sorry. All right. And what else do I need?
We need to review the first two to see how we are going to rule on this.
Yes,
Right.
but make the motion for it first that you agree that it's
Okay.
unlisted and that you're willing to do an uncoordinated review.
I make a motion that this application be unlisted and we do an uncoordinated review. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay. So with that,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, we will go through.
We have to vote, I think.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Meg,
Yes.
Abby,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
All right. With that being, the vote was unanimous, just for the record. So, Mr. Chair, with that, we'll go through part 2 of the EAF. Part 2 of the EAF consists of 11 questions. And with each question, the board is responding to whether there is no or small impact that may occur, or whether the board feels that the environmental topic listed in these 11 questions will have a moderate to large impact. If
Correct.
it is found to have no or small impact, that means that you feel that, you know, from an environmental standpoint, if you find that, yeah, it means that there's little to no additional environmental information that's needed. If
Correct.
you find that one of these topics is moderate to large, then it means that you feel that there's further environmental investigation that's needed. So with that, we'll go through the items. The first question: will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
Abby?
So again, what you're dealing with right now is whether or not the use variances and the area variances conflict
small
with
and
the
moderate
adopted
impact.
land use plans, and
Wait,
whether or
but
not there's a small impact or whether or not there's a large impact.
So I would say for one, no.
Meg?
Yeah, I would consider it actually has a small impact because it is stretching the use of the commercial use, but commercial uses for retail products is permitted. So I would say I would still put it in the small category.
All right,
I would agree with that. I agree with Abby and Meg.
fair enough. Item 2, will the proposed action result in a change in use or intensity of the use of land? So again, the question is, do you feel that's a small impact, or do you feel that that's a moderate to large impact?
I say it's really no impact because it's going from a restaurant that could seat more people to a restaurant that has smaller customer base, but some commercial use in the back. So I don't think that that's increasing the use or intensity of the land.
So just to make one point, the reason that they are going for site plan approval is because there's a change of use or intensity of use. And so part of that is because it formerly was a restaurant. Now it is a takeout operation and manufacturing. So there has been a change of use. And I'm not saying how the board needs to decide, but you may want to consider that as a small impact.
But I thought that's what I am bringing.
Oh, we did. It says number small.
I think I'm bringing.
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh, I
saying.
thought you said there was no impact. I'm sorry. So maybe I heard wrong.
Okay, but what I meant was it's small, that I'm not finding that it's enough to equate to a moderate or large.
Okay.
Okay, I agree.
I agree.
Fair
Small.
enough. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
I don't think so.
No.
I think that's small. Meg?
Yeah, no, I don't think it will.
Okay.
All right. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
No, I think that, no.
Environmental area?
I just have a quick question for Mr. Diamore. Mr. Diamore?
Yes?
Yeah, quick question. Is this in an environmental, is this in a critical environmental area?
No, it's not.
All right, fair enough. And the answer to that, staffs would suggest that the answer to the board would be no.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Would a proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
Say small.
It's small.
I agree with the other two board members.
Would a
Small.
proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? And staff will make if I can make a suggestion, if it was a restaurant before and it's going to a light manufacturing type of restaurant style use, then staff, you could make the argument for it being a small or having no impact in terms of its energy use.
I feel it's the same because it's really still a kitchen. It was a kitchen before, it's still a kitchen. The manufacturing that they're doing is not all of a sudden big machines or something. It's still kitchen. So I would
Fair
say
enough.
small.
Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies?
I don't know.
I'd say no or small. It's hard
Yeah.
to see it making and kind of, as we discussed before.
And will the proposed action impact existing public-private wastewater treatment utilities?
I would think that would be small.
Fair enough. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
I would say no, it's actually retaining the architectural history of the end of Amerenik Avenue.
Fair enough. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
That would probably, that's no and small.
Fair enough. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
It's going to be the same setup as it was before.
Yeah.
So a small and no impact, fair enough.
Right.
All right. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
That has to be small and no. It's
Fair enough. So with that being the case, the board has essentially said that that the impact or the need for that there is no or small impact as it relates to these secret topics. And at this point, if the board wishes to issue a negative declaration, the board may do so.
Do we make a motion to do that?
Absolutely.
So I'll make a motion to make a negative declaration regarding this.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Meg?
Yep.
Abby?
Yep.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
All right, fair enough. Mr. Chair, just a couple other things, just really quick. One thing that the board should do, Mr. Chair, if you would like, is to ask if there's anyone from the public who wishes to speak.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is there anyone from the public who wants to speak on this application?
If so, raise your hand. I see a Eugene and a Galaxy S10. Do either one of you want to speak? Well, I'll bring you in this evening. They're not indicating that they would like to speak, so I think that's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anything else we need to do on this application except we have to adjourn it, correct?
But we keep it open because we're going to review it in September.
Right. All right, so we're going to adjourn it until September. And Mr. Diamore, you're going to be able to get that application into planning so they can put it on their September calendar?
I'll do, yes.
All right, the reason being is that actually, hopefully they can get their answer back. Our meeting is the day after, but we're saying they meet again on the 23rd. And we, if we get positive feedback from the planning board that they have no additional questions or comments in coastal zone. Would we need to hold a special meeting in the end of September?
No, my understanding is what the whole point of this uncoordinated review was so that you can move forward with the variance at your meeting in September. You're going to review the resolution and move forward with the variance.
Yes, no, I understand that, but we're probably gonna make it, one of the top, one is, it's gotta, now that planning, site plan review is, it has to be,
Doug, if they don't meet the conditions of your approval and go for site plan approval.
right,
But we can just do that. We'll find out whether they got site plan approval or not, and either add that as a condition or not.
right, we can add that to the condition in September, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I guess we adjourn this and leave it open, correct? Is that what is that what we do? Do I have a motion to adjourn this till September?
I don't think we usually vote on it. It's simply adjourned, isn't it? I don't remember voting on an adjournment.
Well, I mean, in my experience, you can do either or.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Okay,
doesn't
so
hurt to
we'll
vote.
just adjourn this, till the September meeting.
We will be provided the resolution, the draft resolution, correct?
Yeah, Michael, how long do you think it's gonna take for you to get the resolution to us? After Christie sends it over? You're muted, Michael.
Not long, probably just a day or two when she
Okay,
gets
great.
it to me.
Terrific. So, Christie, when do you think you can get it to Michael?
I can send it to him now. I mean, it's up to, at this point, this is my last meeting, so I'm happy to forward it to him and he can add the conditions, and that's that, so.
Why don't you
Makes
send it to me
sense.
now and I'll try and get it for Monday.
Okay, and then you'll send it to Betty Ann?
Yep.
And Betty Ann, you'll issue it out to us as quickly as we possibly can get it?
Of course.
Okay, and I really think that concludes where we are. Mr. Diamore, do you understand the process we're going through to try and expedite this for you?
Yes, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We will try our best to do our best. Now, there's a couple of things I want to say before we adjourn the meeting. Christie, it was a pleasure working with you.
Thank you, everyone.
And Betty Ann, I don't think we really need to say much, how much we are going to miss you, adore you, and the money I'm paying for this outfit. Just for you.
Well, you look great, Doug. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I know, but I'm a Giant fan. So what's that
Thank you very much, Betty Ann, for everything. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Betty Ann?
Thank you for all the times I was a resident as well as when I was on the board. So you've been.
My pleasure, Meg.
We will miss you terribly, and I have Louise over here. Tears are running down her cheeks. She doesn't want to see you go.
Thank you, Louise.
Can you hear her? Did you hear her, Betty Ann?
Yes.
Come on, right here. She's coming over. Come here. By the way,
Joy.
this is my better half.
Pleasure being with you. You've been just super, and I wish you the best. And maybe we'll see each other in Florida sometime.
All right. Thank you, Louise. And I'm married to a Giants fan too. So
What's that?
I'm married to a Giants fan too.
Really? Listen, I'm telling you, it's the only way to travel, Cowboys and Giants. I want to thank everybody, and
To adjourn.
yes,
Mr. Chair, just really quick, just for the record, this probably should have been done at the beginning of the meeting, but it's, I think it should happen now. If you'd like to just have a roll call, just for everyone to acknowledge their presence, as participating, to establish, to show that there was a quorum for tonight.
okay. I'll start with this. My name is Doug Dunaway. I'm here. Robin, the chairperson, is under the weather and she couldn't join us this evening. And Meg, do you know Greta? Is she on
Greta
vacation?
was iffy about this meeting. She's traveling or in transit somewhere or getting home late.
And Greta couldn't be here. Meg?
I'm here.
and Abigail is here. So 3 of the 5 board members are here. We also have the building inspector, Mike Hartman, who's taking over counsel to the board. Christy Mason, who is leaving us. What, by the way, where are you going, Christy?
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
I have to create a little bit of a space between the village and the ZBA. So.
Oh, okay. All right. And Betty Ann, who is leaving us for greener pastures, or let me put it this way, warmer climate and wonderful beaches.
Thank you. Bluer water.
Bluer water. There you go. Betty Ann, I can't say enough how much we're going to miss you.
Thank you, Doug. Will you give me a motion to adjourn?
I will give you a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Thanks, Meg.
Abby?
Yes.
Meg? And I vote yes. Have a good evening, everybody, and we'll see you in.
Mr. Chair, I just want to point out one thing to the board, and as your staff, this is just a note to the board. As your staff, I am available, and this is one thing that if the board will permit me, I would like to help the board better understand the secret process so that your board feels comfortable being the lead agency in the future, if the board would permit me to do so.
Yeah, and Mr. Long, I should have asked you this before. Page 2 requires name of lead agency, date, signature. How do you want to handle that?
Just close the meeting.
I'll take care of that and I'll work it out with you, Mr. Chair.
Close the meeting, so I think maybe we talk about this offline, okay?
Fair enough.
Okay, bye.
All right. Have a good evening, everybody.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.